fellow heathens, it's Liz, and welcome to part 2 of decks I will be rehoming. There will be a third part because I still have quite a few decks left to show you, so let's jump in and get started. This first deck may come as no surprise. It's the Muse Tarot, and what I will be using instead when I want that energy of like youth and fun and just, you know, an open kind of point of view is the Lightseer's Tarot. Comes as no surprise, right? Let's just take a quick look as we flip through these. The Muse Tarot, as I had mentioned before, was kind of a deck that didn't really fit my aesthetic. It was something that I wanted to try out, but I feel it's very I don't know what the word is. I don't know how to say it, you know? Like I think I talked about this card. Let me go ahead and flip to the back so that I can make sure that we see some images that I didn't show on the last video. It's very modern, okay? So I think that that's something that doesn't really fit my aesthetic very well. And if you've been following my channel for a little while, you'll notice that I don't have a whole lot of modern decks in my collection. It's just something about me, you know, like I feel like this fits this niche, if you will. So I get that whole boho style, that youthful feeling, that freedom and all of that, but I still have like the artistry, I guess, of an old school drawing, so to speak. So I think that that's kind of where I'm at with this. I love the box, I love the cardstock, I love the way I was able to edge these two decks. I love the backs of these, like, so much, but it's just the art style I couldn't get along with, and that's fine. You know, to each their own. So I will be culling the Muse Tarot, and I will be keeping the Lightseer's Tarot. Next up is the Spanish Tarot, and although in one of my last videos I showed this deck and I was talking about how I enjoyed the colors, and which I really do, I think that as I go through Marseille, it's not something that I'm going to be drawn to use because of the limitations that it has in the minors. So what I will be reaching for instead is my Jodorowsky Tarot. And I was kind of going back and forth with all of my Marseille, and I'm still on the fence about the Pablo Robledo 6th edition Marseille. Still really kind of going back and forth on that one, I gotta admit. But let's skip to the minors. Let's see. Yeah. So let's get to the 10. Now, just as an example, right? I love this purple flower in the center. I love the coloration, but it's missing some of the elements that are described in the book. Like you see this white plane, and these two pentacles are a different color, so it's almost like an inversion of this one. For me, this deck has a lot more to draw on. I don't feel like there's enough of a separation of all of these here. I feel like these three are kind of on their own, which these two are. I mean, these three are above this floral pattern, but it's still separated. And you see these two are kind of like, they're fixed in place. So there's more to draw on. They're different, they're fixed in place, and they're separated from the rest of the group. So I feel like there's a lot more that I can use versus this one. These guys are together, and these guys are barely separated at all, whereas this guy's got his own spot, and so on and so forth. And I can kind of use that. I can use the coloration a little bit more, like red coming out from the center here to the edges. Like you can see red here, red being like the life force, red being something painful, like whatever the question is, whatever my intuition wants to use, I feel like there's more that it can say in this deck. So let me skip a few here. It's just, I love the colors, but when I'm going to use Marseille, I want something that's going to just give me as much as I can possibly handle as far as imagery and the little nuances of things. So like the things this guy's has in his hair, you know, the number of those could be significant, you know. And here we have the 6. So you have the similar pattern, but I feel like there's so much more going on here. And this flower is touching the very top, and this flower isn't. So even in that, it has something to say about that. Like this one has like a little circle and a dot here, and I have seen it in other spots in the tarot that could indicate like a blockage. Like it's almost like tying the tubes basically together and fusing them. So that I can use as well. So there's so much that I can use in this deck, and I think that I'd be more drawn to use this when I want to use Marseille than I will with the Spanish Tarot. So I will be culling the Spanish Tarot, and I will be keeping the Jodorowsky Tarot. Here we have the Lonely Dreamer Tarot 2nd edition, and instead of the Lonely Dreamer Tarot 2nd edition, I will be using the Lonely Dreamer Tarot 1st edition. So many of these cards are the same, but the ones that matter to me the most have been changed. Here are the backs. It's just a beautiful deck, and it's still, except for this one, in order. So yeah, there's just, and I actually did get a backup of the 1st edition, so I'm trying to figure out if, you know, I probably should have a backup of this deck, the 1st edition, because I love it so much. Like you can see the coloration is just slightly different there. Some of the cards that you know, this one I enjoy the difference here. I love that neon green that was added there. But I'm not going to go through the whole deck. It's just a few of the cards I wanted to show you that were changed, that just like broke it for me, you know, like the Wheel of Fortune. I really don't like this Wheel of Fortune card. I really, really don't. And I love this one. I love that, you know, there's a circle there, and this could be like Fortuna, you know, making the wheel turn, and it's just so much more beautiful for that message. And I like the veil that's in front of Justice here. I like the scale with the sword, and like I don't really feel that in this one. So, you know, and I love this death card with the skeleton. I mean, I like the idea of what this death card means, but I don't get that feeling. Like I definitely feel like the spirit is moving on to another realm, but I like the actual depiction of the skeleton here with the horse and the flowers growing. You get that same message, you know. So I will be culling the Lonely Dreamer Tarot 2nd edition, and I will be keeping the Lonely Dreamer Tarot 1st edition. The Golden Art Nouveau Tarot will be leaving my collection, and instead I will be reaching for the Simplicity Tarot Diverse Edition. And of course, I think this art style is very, very beautiful. It's Rider-Waite-Smith based, and so is the Simplicity Tarot. But I get that indie feel, like the thickness of the deck is so, it's completely, I mean, you can tell it's completely different. And as far as the thickness of the cardstock, and the art style is different too. And by no means are these comparisons supposed to be like Art Nouveau to Art Nouveau. It's not that at all. It's just when I'm looking for a straightforward answer, this is the type of deck that I'm going to reach for. And at first, you know, the gold was like, you know, bling blingy and wow. but I find it to be somewhat distracting now for the message, and that's why I would opt to use the Simplicity Tarot because of all of that white space. So here we have the Three of Wands. Here's a great, I'm glad these two popped up for comparison. There's so much like going on in the imagery. Like you understand that this gold is supposed to be the sky and here's the water, but it feels super busy. And I feel like this one, you see the ships much clearer. Like here the ship's right there, but here the ships are like obvious, and you can see the cliff here, like the cliff almost kind of blends in with the water, that blends in with the land here, and then the sky. So there's just like, it's super busy, and I really enjoy the simplicity, wink wink, of the Simplicity Tarot. So I will be culling the Golden Art Nouveau, and I will be keeping the Simplicity Tarot Diverse Edition. Next up is the Sola Busca Revisited Tarot. Now this is the tarot that I had used for past life readings, and it worked really well. But instead, since I received this deck, this is what I'm using for that purpose instead. The Art History for Past Lives Tarot. And it's much more versatile, if you ask me, because of the fact, let's zoom in. It has what the picture is supposed to indicate on the very right, top right corner. And it has what you're looking at. It has the name of the imagery or the portrait on the bottom left, and it has your tarot association right there. So 7 of Pentacles. So there's so much to draw on, and I feel like the art itself, being kind of, an older art style, like from history. Although this is a very extremely old deck as well, which is kind of why I used it for that purpose. I feel like more can be drawn for my intuition from the Art History Tarot than the Sola Busca Tarot. And I do have my 1750 Hesse Marseille that I can use if I wanted to, like, kind of go like old school and feel like I'm touching a piece of history. And that's from 1750. I mean, my goodness, that's old too. But I feel like karmic connection, like I get more of a feeling of like touching the themes of past lives in the Art History Tarot than I do from the Sola Busca Tarot. The art style is completely different, of course. You get major themes from this deck as well, but here you have a little bit more imagery that I can pull from. David thanking God after the death of Goliath. So resolute. So he was resolute in his purpose, and he defeated something. So, if it was just like an oracle and it just said resolute, you get a feeling of like, okay, well, something in my past life caused me to feel like I had a purpose, and I had something to do, like there was meaning in my life. But what is the meaning? I had to defeat an obstacle for the good of myself and other people. And then I also have the 7 of Wands, which makes total sense for what this image is trying to portray. So there's so much more context that I can draw from. And let's say if I get America, I'm like, if I feel like that's meaningful, I'll use it. If not, I'll go with the Chariot. So here we have the ships coming in. So the Virgin of the Navigators. So there was a time, possibly, doesn't have to necessarily be in America, where I may have been on a long journey, but my will was strong, and I was successful in my mission. So, there's more to it for this one regarding getting really deep into those themes from past lives. So I will be culling my Sola Busca Revisited Tarot, and I will be keeping my Art History for Past Lives Tarot. Next up is the Cosmic Visions Tarot, and I got this from Kickstarter, and I have all these Kickstarter goodies, including the cute bookmark here and this art card, which is absolutely amazing. I mean, how cool is that? And I have the bottle of spray. Let me go ahead and grab that. Here's the spray that will accompany the tarot as well. I have not used it. It's Cosmic Awakening, Purify, Cleanse, and Awaken. And let's see, it's a smudge spray with Palo Santo, patchouli, frankincense, sweet orange, bergamot, and black tourmaline. 50 milliliters. So this will be coming with it as well. I was super excited to get that, by the way. But the Cosmic Visions Tarot is a cool, funky, very unique tarot. And this one was kind of a tough one as well, because I don't have anything in my collection that really does the same thing. You know, it's very diverse, which is cool. You have the mandalas and you have the beautiful rainbow colors here, and I love it's rose petal finish, so it has that beautiful indie feel. But again, it's got its own vibe. So this was a challenging one to decide, well, what would I pick instead? So what I decided upon was the Sawyer's Tarot by Eva Sawyer. And the reason why I would say this is a good one to say that I would replace it is because of the colors and because of the cool vibe. This has got like a tattoo type of vibe. Let's go ahead and zoom in. As I mentioned in one of my previous decks, the Sawyer's Tarot would be something I would use more so in the summertime because of the colors, because of the bright, vibrant colors. It has that modern feel. Let me go ahead and skip several of these so that we can kind of get a sense of some of the other cards, because I think I showed some of these top cards as I kept them in the same order in my last video. And of course they have a different vibe, you know, but again, I love the fact that there are some people in here with gray hair. It definitely doesn't age the deck. This is a very cute, very modern deck, and it's something that I am excited to have in my collection. This is the indie version. It's cute. It's like got these like plump kind of like clouds and figures. Everything is like very it just jumps off the card, and I really enjoy that. So I will be rehoming or culling the Cosmic Visions Tarot, and I will be keeping the Sawyer's Path Tarot. Next up is the Animamundi Tarot and the Nocturna Oracle. Now, in my last video, I kind of talked about how the Animamundi Tarot kind of checked several boxes for me in my collection. It is somewhat pippish, and I'm just going to kind of show you a little bit of the Oracle and kind of get that one out of the way. Because the reason why I'm getting rid of the Oracle too is because I only really used it with the Animamundi Tarot. And since I'll be rehoming the Animamundi Tarot, I see it as a necessity to also rehome the Nocturna Oracle. It's very cool. It's got lots of different animals, plant life, night sky. It's got like landscape type imagery as well. Takes a little bit of study to get to know the symbolism behind them, but it's a very cool deck, and it's got a great linen finish. So that one's going to be leaving my collection. And let's skip here. Here we go. Okay. Now, the Animamundi Tarot is very open and spacious, so there should come as no surprise that the Spacious Tarot will be one of the decks that I would reach for instead. And there are also animals in the Spacious Tarot as well. But I also wanted to bust out my Children of Litha Tarot and kind of show you why these two decks kind of have a different vibe, that since I'm not getting rid of either of these two decks, I would choose these over the Animamundi. for different reasons. Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and zoom in. The Spacious Tarot has a simplistic art. It's not simplistic art style, but there's less going on, and that is kind of one of the things that happens in the Anima Mundi. Now in the Children of Litha, you see there's lots of like blood here going on with these birds. One of the cards in the Anima Mundi, I think it's the 10 of Swords, has swords with, you know, stuck inside of a bird as well. But the very first one that came out had blood in it, and then she released it without any blood at all. And I'm not opposed to blood in my decks because I don't mind, you know, being made to feel uncomfortable. And if that's something that bothers you, then the Children of Litha Tarot is probably not for you, but there's no blood in the Anima Mundi. You have your animals, you have your humanoid figures in the Children of Litha. It's got a pippish vibe as well, like, you know, with the 9 of Cups. You know, you have your octopus with the 9 cups, but you see he's kind of the octopus is raising his glass up in celebration, sort of. So you get that, right? Let's go ahead and skip a few of these as well. So the Wheel of Fortune is very open, and the Hierophant here is very open. So you get what I'm saying, right? You know what I'm saying? So here's the King of Pentacles, and here's the Elder of Pentacles. So, I mean, yeah, this one is the one that I would want to see over the Anima Mundi, I guess you could say. There's more to this deck. For me, personally, not for everybody, but for me, there's more that I can, it like makes me feel a certain way, gives me the feels, something that I don't get from the Anima Mundi Tarot. So I will be culling the Anima Mundi Tarot and the Nocturna Oracle, and I will be keeping the Spacious Tarot and the Children of Litha Tarot. Here we have the Illuminated Earth Oracle and the Faceted Garden Oracle. I know some of you are like, what? How could she ever get rid of those? I get it. The Illuminated Earth Oracle is, as I had mentioned, a favorite of many, but I don't know. I'm just not vibing with it or something. You know, of course, I'm not opposed to abstract art. That's not it. And I don't know what it is that is keeping me from connecting with it, but it's the same thing with the Faceted Garden. They have keywords that are, you know, this one has some seasonal energy. You know, they both do. The Illuminated Earth it definitely has more of an earthy vibe, whereas I feel the Faceted Garden has more of a springtime, fresh, you know, new growth, blossoming type of vibe. But if I'm going to reach for an oracle that would fill this niche, it would definitely have to be the Journey Oracle by Kathy Fitzgerald. And there's another one I wanted to show you as well. So let me go ahead and finagle this one out of the baggie. So let's flip through these first, and then I'll show you. Now here you have your plant physical support, you have your animal support, and I know that there's an animal allies card in the Faceted Garden. And so the Journey Oracle has lots of different energies, and I feel like it's such a well-rounded deck, and it's also very abstract. So you get that, you know, abstract feeling from the deck as well that I would have gotten here. In Celestial Realm, you know, there's definitely like an upper world card in here that would suit that type of energy. Consciousness, you know, I definitely feel like these two decks, source and consciousness, and I love those keywords. I do, I really do. And multiverse, you know, I guess like I wouldn't know how to use that keyword, multiverse. I need more of a practical type of keyword. Like here we have spirit and source. Great, if that card comes up, I know that I need to connect within. But multiverse, you know, if you have higher consciousness, let's see, consciousness and multiverse. Like consciousness, I get it. Like she's got her eyes closed and, you know, she's like, these are almost like chakras sort of. And, you know, I can work with that. But there's just some cards that I just don't jive well with. And since I have in love, here's your spring, so you have that seasonal energy. Since I have in love this deck, and I can pair it with many other decks, like fire, water, that's in there too. Guidance, higher conscious, see, consciousness. It's definitely something that I would keep, this one, the Journey Oracle, and it's something that I would reach for over either of these two. And I have other fall type decks that I would use over this, and I also have spring type decks that I would use over this one as well. So I will be culling the Illuminated Earth Oracle and the Faceted Garden Oracle, and I will be keeping the Journey Oracle. I also wanted to mention that I will be keeping the Tree Whisper Oracle. And the reason why I bring this one up is this is definitely a fall type deck as well. And it has like a mirror image of the tree. And it's something, it's very abstract, you know, but it's something that I can kind of gaze at for a long time. And that's something that you can also get from the Illuminated Earth Oracle, because you gaze at it and sometimes different images would pop up at you. So for fall time frame, I would be more apt to want to connect to the energy of the trees and the rootedness with the tree oracle, and I would like just stare at it and look at it and love it and pet it and, you know. But this is definitely a deck that I would probably reach for over the Illuminated Earth Oracle. This one's kind of an outlier. It is the yoga deck, and I've had this one for years, and it was inside a drawer upstairs, and I just hadn't seen it in a long time. Haven't used it in a long time. I am a certified yoga instructor. Actually, I take that back. I have not received my 200-hour certification yet, but I am like qualified to teach yoga without like repositioning people and things like that. So I've choreographed many classes, and so the need for this really isn't there for me anymore. I know what these poses do. I know how to move from one pose to the next, and I have like certain sequences that I prefer over others. So for me to kind of just shuffle it and like kind of like go from pose to pose seems kind of a little bit disjointed for me. I love the flow of different types of yoga classes. So yeah, and it's nice though. It tells you the benefits of the yoga pose, and it gives you a mantra, and it tells you how to perform it and some contraindicated things to keep in mind. So it was definitely helpful for me at the beginning, but since I've had it, I've grown in my yoga practice pretty significantly. So this is the yoga deck, and it will be leaving my collection. Next up is the Wandering Star Tarot deck by Kat Pierce. Now I know I had mentioned that I did enjoy the customer service from Kat Pierce, and I do still appreciate everything that she did for me and how accommodating she was. And the deck is just so soft and lovely. I love the keywords are really nice. I love all of the embellishments here. It's just such a cute deck. And the thing that, or at least the deck that I feel I would turn to more for that energy of connecting with the characters within the deck is the Touchstone Tarot. They have completely different vibes, but I have to say that the characters in the Touchstone Tarot are more my aesthetic. As you can see, they're looking at you and they're delivering the message in a soft way. But, you know, I don't know if you're catching on a theme here where I like the historical art decks more than I like the contemporary type decks. I feel like, you know, I love that Cat Black has included the swords and everything in the deck, and that is present here as well. Let me go ahead and skip a few here. I mean, even like the Eight of Pentacles and the Seven of Coins, the energy is so different, but for me, I feel more connected to this type of art styles. Like she's waiting for, you know, her investment to manifest, or she's waiting for the fruits of her labor. And the Eight, she's a busy little bee. She's working hard. But I feel like all of the characters pretty much have that kind of somber, solemn look. And I feel like there's a different energy in her eyes because it's more lifelike, I suppose you could say. You know, her face is definitely different, but you still have that somber look. It's more mature, I guess you could say. And, you know, I was just talking with, or responding to a comment on one of my videos about, like, spirituality and how to, like, engage my children in a spiritual practice where I don't have a structure for it, really. There's no place I can go, there's no church I can attend that I feel resonates with my inner compass, my inner heathen. And then I was telling her that maybe I'll just have my kids, like maybe I'll just do readings for my kids and then kind of frame the message in a way that indicates that the message comes from them. Like I want them to build their own intuition, and I'm gonna let them choose the decks that they want to use. So the Wandering Star Tarot might be one that my 13-year-old daughter might resonate with. She might like this art style because she kind of draws this type of art. So if she says that she would like to use this deck, I'm probably not going to be rehoming it now that I think of it. So as I'm going through this, I was just thinking, like, what if she resonates with it, and, you know, and it's an energy that she wants to see and that she can kind of vibe with. Oh, wow. So this one's a tough one. So I don't know yet. Right now she's at school, so I can't even ask her. But I have a feeling she's going to say, yes, keep it. I like it. I think it's cute. I want to use it. And if so, then I won't be rehoming it after all. Boy, let me tell you, this has been a tough road to just kind of figure all this out and not have any regrets. So I may or may not be culling the Wandering Star Tarot, and I will be keeping, of course, my Touchstone Tarot. Next up is a deck that I haven't even really opened, and I kept it in the paper here. It's the newest edition of the Tarot of Trees. Now, I ordered it when it was on pre-order, and it comes with this sleeve, and the reason I got it was because it was matte, and I actually had rehomed, and I love this two-part box versus the tuck box. I had rehomed the other edition that was shiny. So here are the backs of these, really cute. And here are the, you know, you're used to seeing this. It's a really cute, thick little deck. But let's go ahead and zoom in. Through making these videos, since I ordered it on pre-order and making these videos, I have really come, you know, in touch with what decks serve what purpose and why, and like I'm just trying to minimize all the extra fluff in my life. And since like we've been doing a lot of home renovation, like we've been purging a lot, and I gotta tell you, it feels good. Okay, This was one of the ones that I acquired that going through this process, I realized I don't really need it because I have the Guardian Tarot. I'm gonna zoom out a smidge. This one, actually, I'll be rehoming as well because this was the extra deck that I acquired in a trade, and I already have one. So this one is edged in like a denim blue to match the backs. But so both of these will be leaving my collection. But when I want to connect with like springtime or the energy of the trees, this is definitely a deck that I would reach for. However, the one that I have has the labels on it. If you watch that video, I have a video called Reorganizing the Guardian Tarot, where I take this original and I compare it to my relabeled and reorganized deck. So that's the one that I will be using when I want to connect with like a personified energy of trees. So I feel like this deck definitely has that because you have the trees doing different things. You know, the strength card is like hanging off the edge of the cliff and holding on for dear life. Here's the Nine of Cups. This is the only one in kind of a humanoid form, which is really interesting. But I guess there's a completely different energy that I get from the Guardian Tarot that is one that I would reach for more often. This is a great little pocket deck that you can take with you anywhere. So like here's the Knight of Cups and you have the movement and you have him clinging to the cup. But I feel like the eyes that stare into you in the Guardian Tarot definitely kind of reach down to my soul in a way that I don't feel that the Tarot of Trees can do. It's a really important topic about feeling like now that we've acquired too much, we have to get rid of everything. So there's definitely a pendulum effect happening where we've taken things, or some of us have taken things to an extreme, and now we have to like kind of try and regulate and recalibrate our collections in a way. But that's not the case for all of us. So if you're in the category where you are completely fine with your collections and you plan on continuing to buy decks, have at it. More power to you. Do you. So for anyone to feel like, oh my gosh, there's this impulse to like purge now, oh my gosh, do I need to? No, you don't. If that's not for you, then don't do it. I have to say there's definitely an energy there, and that may be because many people were kind of on the same wavelength, just acquiring, and that's where I was. And so I can resonate with the impulse to minimize. But that doesn't mean that this is now your villain now if you continue to collect and build your collection. It's really, like I always say, listen to your inner heathen. What does your inside say? There's no shaming here, or at least there shouldn't be. So you can be spiritual with a large collection, and you can be spiritual with one deck. So it really depends on the person, and it depends on where you're at on your journey. And for all the tarot creators out there, on TarotTube, it's you get your views from a lot of the unboxings, and people are still looking for that. So there's no reason to like stop doing that. And I feel even though I'm starting to take away from my collection, I still have a sizable collection, and I still plan on creating valuable tarot content with my collection. And that doesn't mean that I'm not going to buy anything ever again. That's not the case at all. But I'm in a better place with my self-awareness that I know I'm not just going to buy something just to buy it. I'm going to be like thinking about what I have in my collection much more thoughtfully and mindfully than I ever did before. So where are you on this topic? Where do you stand? I'd love to know. So go ahead and make sure that you leave a comment down below and let me know where you're at with this whole this change within the community. So I will be rehoming both of these decks and keeping my relabeled Guardian Tarot. So this is the Tarot of Trees, and this is the Guardian Tarot. So thank you for joining me today for part 2 of decks I'll be rehoming. And there will be a part 3. It won't be as long, I promise. So do you have any of these decks? I'd love to know. And don't forget, I will be offering these decks up to anyone who's watching these decks on my channel before I put them on Facebook. There will be a price. It will, give you a description of the deck, whatever condition it's in, and you can reach me on the email that I'll be posting as well if you're interested. So until next time, bye.